Okay. Okay, good work. Welcome everyone to Mastermind with Neil Schwartz. It's our first episode in 2022. Remember, we have about 86 or 88 recorded episodes on events.c21masters.com. Don't forget to go there and check them out. Some great guests, as we have one today in Mike Doyle, who also happens to work for Century 21 Masters. Yay! Good job, Mike. Fantastic. Yeah, Mike and I go way back. Actually, I think you were the first agent, or you and Jennifer at the same time. Yeah, first two agents that had joined us when we expanded to the Irvine area back a number of years ago. And it's been a great relationship and building together, et cetera, et cetera. So, So welcome, Mike, and thank you for all that you do. I'd love you just to share maybe a Reader's Digest version of where you come from, maybe some, how'd you get into real estate, et cetera, and ended up in Huntington Beach. Can you take a minute or two and give us some highlights?
Sure. I got into real estate in 2007. I had been working for a clothing company in Irvine. I grew up, born and raised in Orange County, California. And my mother was in real estate ever since I was a little kid. And she got into it. She was making tons of money in 03, 04, 05, 06, and kept telling me that I got to get in. Well, by the time I got in, the market had already crashed and the party was long gone. So I got in, as the inventory was rising, as prices were plummeting, and totally different market than it is today, like 180 degrees. But I persevered. I got into Mike Ferry coaching, I would say in 08. And then from there, it was just, I started taking off because of all the training. I'm in the Irvine office, work all of Orange County. And things have been going very good since then.
Good. Excellent. Congratulations. So in 07, 08, 09, the inventory, it was a reverse situation.
There were 18,000 homes for sale in Orange County.
Yeah, at that time.
And now there's 1,000.
And exactly. Isn't that crazy? And about how many properties were selling? There was 18,000 listings. They weren't selling, 18,000. We were pending 18,000. What was the numbers? 10%? 15%?
Yeah, it was. I mean, the market time was 90 to 120 days. People were just taking price reduction after price reduction. And, I always talked about working, at that point we were working expireds really hard because there was a lot of them, but there's so much fear in the market, so much heartbreak in the market as buyers had bought a home for $1 million. Now it's, they couldn't sell it at 800, and people were short selling and foreclosing, all that. Yeah, totally different.
Crazy times. So during that time, you were learning your skills on expired listings for expires and for sale by owners for the most part.
Yes. Yeah. Expired and for sale by owners. Starting to door knock, although that was very difficult for me at the time. Very difficult.
Why so?
A couple things. Number one, I didn't really have a sales background, so I was learning how to be, be salesy, be able to knock on a stranger's door. I still remember the first door I knocked in Mission Viejo, and I was, sweating after doing it. It was so. Now I don't think twice about it, but starting was so tough for me. It was really tough. There was a lot more rejection too, because I was at the time going around knocking on doors, telling people what I sold a home for, and they were mad that I sold it for that low.
Right.
So it didn't go over that well.
Yeah. Today you can talk about, I get 100. In your case, we talked earlier, $150,000 more for the piece of property.
Exactly.
And and now or then, You know,
Yeah.
you were getting $50,000 to $60,000 less than people were paying. It was an ugly time.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, so the business that you got first year, second year, maybe, how many deals did you do?
First year I did 4 deals.
Okay.
Two, two big ones, thankfully,
Mhm.
and 2 little ones.
Okay.
And, second year was 8 deals and then 12 deals,
Mhm.
and then it just kind of steadily built from there.
Got
So
it.
the
Got it.
first year in the business, 4 deals.
4 deals. And that was 2007, 2008, right?
Correct.
And so last year you closed how many transactions?
29.
29 transactions for somewhere north of 600,000.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, got it. So first of all, congratulations. Your best year ever, right?
My best year ever. Yep.
Yeah, congratulations. Good
Thank
stuff.
you. Thank you.
Yeah. Also, you bought some investment property that year, or was it the year before?
I am, so I bought the house I'm living in and I kept my old house,
Okay,
and I'm in escrow to buy an investment property right now.
got it. Got it.
Yeah. So I
So,
should be closing on that in a couple of weeks.
right. So we had lots of conversations over the years about should, what to do, but you've pulled the trigger and now you're accelerated the pace.
Absolutely. Oh
Yeah.
yeah. It's been nothing but good. Yeah.
So doing that on the first one was a little bit, I won't use the word scary, but it made you a little nervous, right? You
I
got,
bought my new home I opened escrow in April of 2020 when the pandemic started.
right.
But I saw the sign go up. It's on my same street, and I bought it off. It was right before the coming soon thing started, so they could put a sign up without putting it on the MLS.
Got it.
Agent put a sign up, and I just wrote an offer day one.
Right. Interesting.
Yeah.
And you have how many children? 3, 4? I
4.
forgot.
4.
4 children. So you have 4 kids. You're doing well. It's the middle of the pandemic.
Yep.
It's the beginning of the pandemic where we have no idea. That's in the first 30, 40 days of what's going on. And you closed your eyes and, you've always wanted that house or something like that, as I recall, right?
I wanted that house, and
Yeah.
you and I have talked a million times about getting investment properties. So the goal was to buy that house without selling the current house,
right,
and renting it out. And it was super scary when everybody I was calling, all my leads said, no, we're going to hold off. It's pandemic. March, April was just rough.
Right. Right.
So
yeah. Well, congratulations. So 2020, you did how much business? More or less
24 deals, something like that. Another 500, about 500 grand.
About 500, and then next year was around 640 or something like that. Great. So let me take you back to 2007, 2008. You're bumping around. So of the 4 deals, did you get, your mom was in the business for a long time. Did you get business from her to start with?
No, I didn't get any business from her.
Uh-huh.
I got a business through COI, open house. I got a buyer through an open house, and one for sale by owner, and one knocking around a for sale by owner.
Got it. Okay. So how important were learning the scripts and dialogues at the time? You didn't have much of the sales background, so they give you some kind of a foundation.
You had to have them. You had to have them. You had to know your expired script for sure, because there's a lot of people calling them. So you had to be bulletproof in that. Your for sale by owner script, you had to be bulletproof there. And the number one thing was the price reduction script.
Right.
All of that stuff. You just had listing presentation. I would write it down. I one time wrote down the Mike Ferry listing presentation every day for a month. I would rehearse it all the time. So I was young, and having to tell sellers what they didn't want to hear. The pre-qualifying was so important because everybody thought their home was worth 800 grand and the comps showed 650, right? So you had to be bulletproof in your pre-qual and in your listing presentation, especially with the comps, because people didn't want to hear it back then. They didn't, not at all.
For sure. So that gave you the confidence to go out and do this and build your business.
100%.
Although, it's going to be really interesting is when this market shifts, and it will.
Yep.
Those are the agents that came into the business in the last year or two that haven't experienced that kind of market are going to get a rude awakening because they don't know. They right now the listing presentation is, what do you want? Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So would you recommend that for that people really learn their how to pre-qualify and their listing presentation right now and work on it diligently?
Yeah, you do. You
Yeah.
absolutely have to do it because the market's going to change before we know it will change. It will just all of a sudden one day change. And there's going to be a point in time where let's say somebody wants $1 million for their home and it's just going to sit. It's just one day it'll just, because in 2011, it changed without anybody really knowing for the positive, and it's going to do that again. And the market changes faster than we can always predict it.
Right.
So I'm still pretty careful because we're pushing prices on things, and I'm still trying to be very careful at saying, we're going to try this. We don't, I can't guarantee anything, and we don't know what the market's going to bear. And you still may get fallout. You still might get people getting cold feet, that they're paying too much money because, prices are really high right now. And so you've got to prep them for that even right now.
Got it. So you worked expireds, you worked for sale by owners, some just listed, just sold, and some past client and sphere. How many people in your past client sphere base now?
Now, probably 750, 800 people.
Got it. Now that base is also combined with some non-owner occupied stuff. Right. What percentage of your base is non-owner occupied?
Probably about a third.
Okay.
Probably about a third.
And you started to shift gears toward that market a little bit when the expired started to dry up 2, 3, 4 years ago, right?
In 2016, I started calling and I got 4 deals from that right away. And that was just a light bulb moment that said, hey, I gotta hit this hard. And the goal was not so much to get the now business, because that's tough to do with absentee owners. The goal was to build a database of sellers that would say, if my tenant ever leaves, I would love to sell this home if my tenant ever leaves, or if something happens, I'd like to sell. But right now, we're going to keep it on cruise control until something happens. And you put them in that database, and then, every month or every couple of weeks, you just get a call saying, oh, it's time. Let's sell it.
So did you do this through for rent by owner and gather them, or you just bought some non-owner occupieds, or was it a combination of things?
I just bought a bunch of non-owner occupieds for
and then just started
6 or 7
them.
cities, and I would call the same city 3 times in a row.
Perfect. Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
And that you did that for how long? Or you're still doing it now, right?
A few years. Yeah, I'm still doing it now a little bit. I think things are changing a little as cell phone technology is getting a little bit better. I don't get the response. I need to figure out, that's the one thing that's on my list to do, is figure out if when I call, it says potential spam, because it's been a little bit tougher to call through an auto dialer, I think. So
no, I think you're correct. And I certainly have found that personally, and I'm working on the same stuff. So I think that's a great thought.
Yeah.
Have you tried, instead of dialing through the auto dialer, you and I will just have a little coaching call right now. We won't talk to anybody else. Have you tried calling directly that same number with your cell phone after? Try that. Try that.
Yeah, I should.
Okay.
I should. I've done it a couple of times when I know when I think they're blocking me, but not for that purpose. I should. No, I should.
Just do a little test. Every time you call one, and just call the other, and try that. I've done that a few times, and it's interesting how somebody picks up right away.
Yeah, interesting. Okay, yeah,
it's a good idea. Okay, so Mike, you're fast forward. You're doing all the different things. You're doing some how, I guess the question I would ask is, how are you staying in touch with, what do you talk about to your non-owner occupied? So I think last year, maybe it was the year before, we did some analysis when talking about this. Like 14 or 18 of the transactions that you did were non-owner occupieds
Yeah.
like this?
So they're all, what you want to do is just add value. And, I always try to tell them the same, tell them what's the market doing, where rents are going, because rents are going up. And there's a lot of landlords that don't know that right now, that how high rents have gone. The other thing I always offer them is painters, plumbers, handymen, electricians, that kind of stuff. And I get a lot of calls about that. People really love that, especially those that live outside of the area.
Good. Excellent. All right.
Yeah.
Do you use any special CMA or not CMA, sorry, CRM, anything like that?
Yes, use Top Producer.
Okay.
And I just keep track of them that way.
Yeah. Okay.
So
You
as
do a
soon as
drip campaign? I'm sorry.
Yeah, I do a
ahead,
drip
finish.
campaign. As soon as somebody says, yes, I might be thinking about it, I have a prearranged drip campaign that I send them. And then I'll just stay in touch with them. And then I put them on my email. I email them weekly, call them quarterly, and mail them monthly.
Got it. So Mike, let me ask you this. Are you, on the days you don't feel like doing this, and are there days like that, or you got everything dialed in?
No, many days. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are those, yeah, I remember a couple of years ago. I don't know. Are you still surfing every morning or most mornings?
I no, no, I wish. I'm going to the gym, but I'm not surfing as much as I'd like. In the summer, I will try. Yes.
Okay. So what do you do on those days where you don't really feel like doing what you're supposed to be doing? And what do you do?
Yeah, that's a tough one. I will sometimes fall back on what's easy and just get it done, which is the past client centers of influence, because I know there's not going to be, that will pump me up usually.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Or I'll just set a goal and tell myself if I can get it done, then I have the rest of the afternoon to go surf or to mountain bike or to go to the gym or whatever. So I find that like giving yourself that reward for doing, okay, today I'm just hitting 20 contacts, or I'm hitting 10 contacts and 3 lead follow-ups, and then I'll just be, then I'm done, but the key is just to hit that goal and just give yourself a mental reward for doing that.
Mike, you work very hard, and I don't want you to take this as I don't think you work hard. You work very hard and very consistent. You've been so consistent over the time that we've been working together. Yet, like right now, you're kind of casual, you're relaxed, you're not stressed, you're not running around, and you had 30 closings last year in Orange County, and none of them are that easy. Yeah, exactly. And none of you don't put them together quite as easy, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
And showing value on a listing presentation when the client says, well, what do I need you for? I could put a sign in front of it and I'll get 10 of my own offers, so we run into that kind of stuff. And as you just mentioned, you can take an afternoon off, or you have 4 children, and I'm constantly seeing you involved in something with the kids. How do you organize that? How does that work? How do you look so relaxed?
So thanks. So I think the key is, I get up early. I get up around 4:30. I hit the gym at 5. Take care of the kids, get them off to school, and then it's work up until about 4:30, and then the times when I coach, I leave work at like 3 o'clock, let's say, to go coach baseball or basketball or soccer, or whatever. But the key is just to stay focused and to work hard when I can, and then just be able to take that time off in the afternoon to do what I want. So that's for me, that's my biggest stress relief is coaching. I love doing it. So
No, that's great. Good for you.
yeah,
Excellent. Excellent. So you added an assistant in 2020, right? 2021.
yeah, uh-huh. And
Okay,
that's
got
been
it. And
huge,
that
huge.
okay. So tell me more about that. I mean, that was a big cost that you haven't had to speak of for forever through your career.
Right.
Shifted gears a little bit. So tell me how that, you know, what
Of
happened
course
there?
it's scary. It's like it seems like very expensive at the time, when you say, oh my gosh, I'm gonna spend what's that,
Whatever.
4,000 a month or whatever it is,
Yeah,
it
right.
seems like a lot, and the first few months was a little bit rougher because I had to be teaching her stuff. But into the 6 month mark, she's really freed me up to do what I need to do and taken a lot off my plate, which has been
So
huge. A lot of the
which
running around I don't have to do anymore, which has really allowed me to be home early to help with the kids.
that's great. That's great.
Yeah,
Yeah. So
yeah.
that's fantastic, really. So what's next year's goal, Mike?
2022 is 50 deals
Okay.
and buy one more investment property and remodel this house.
Woo.
Yeah, that's the
All right.
goal.
Yeah. Good luck on the remodeling.
I know, right?
We're still we're trying to replace some things in the kitchen, and they're still on a ship somewhere.
Yeah, yeah. But that's the goal. I think that the biggest goal is to honestly to buy the rental and to remodel, because that's the money is for. So my wife and I are trying to tie ourselves to that,
Good for
but
you.
the rental is powerful. I don't know if I told you this, but we rented our place out about a year and a half ago. Our tenants moved out, and I was nervous because we're going to have this vacancy and all that. Well, I got a call. I put it back on the market for $700 more a month, 21 applicants. And I got a call from an insurance company that was going to pay me. My first tenants were paying me 37. The new tenants wanted 43. The insurance company is paying me 55 to rent out my place for 6 months.
Wow.
And so it just goes to the power of finding rentals, buying them, and good things can happen.
Right.
So,
Right.
yeah,
And you were nervous as all get out.
nervous,
Yeah.
very nervous. Like, are you sure you want? I was like, oh man, I'm so sad you're leaving. I'm like, I can't. That's the best thing that's ever happened. But
Yeah.
yeah. So
Yeah. Good for you.
yeah.
Congratulations. Good stuff. So you've shifted gears a little bit. You're not doing quite the quote unquote grinding and stuff. Tell us a little bit about that right now.
Out of all of my deals last year, the sales side, most of them were either moving out of state or selling inheritance properties. Mom and dad pass away, and the adult children are selling the properties, which has been a lot easier for me. And that's been a lot more word of mouth, a lot more past clients, centers of influence. So the goal is to really focus on those people through calling, through mailers, but also through Instagram and Facebook. That's been a big one for me. As I found a very effective way to reach friends of friends that you kind of know, they kind of know you, but you don't want to, ask for business for these people that you kind of barely know. But Facebook and Instagram have been a big push to get those deals.
Good for you. Good for
Yeah.
you. We've done a really nice job with it. You're classy, and
Yeah.
your videos are very nicely done. So there's a niche for all of this. There's a niche for the phone call. Look, you couldn't be where you are without learning your scripts and dialogues, old school selling techniques to begin with.
You have to.
And we just kind of grow and from that kind of stuff. So good for you. Excellent.
Absolutely.
Fantastic. Okay, you open to a couple questions?
Sure.
Great. Okay. All right. Good stuff. Questions for Mike Doyle. Questions from our mastermind group for Mike Doyle right now. Who raise your hand? Let's put something in the chat box.
Mike, this is Chris.
Hi.
Hi, thank you so much for coming on and sharing. My question is, while back then when you were, working the fishbowl and expire and things like that,
Mhm.
how did you go about attacking it, and what type of follow-up system did you do? And my second question is, with the Instagram and Facebook, are you what other things are you doing to kind of going to attract your friends, things like that? Thank you.
Sure. So I would say for the expireds and for sale by owners, if I knew they really wanted to sell, really had to sell, and they weren't just testing the market, I would door knock them. That's number one. If they were at all interested, I would be out there knocking on their door, or I would just try to set an appointment to see the house. However I can, I want to get face to face with them, because that separates you from 95% of the competition. If I couldn't set an appointment, I would literally just knock on the door and say, hey, I was just showing the home down the street, thought I would introduce myself. Half the time, maybe they would let you in, half the time they wouldn't, but getting that face-to-face was critical. For the Instagram and Facebook, the key is just to be consistent with your content and to mix it up. So you don't want just, all business stuff. I made it a point to become friends with as many people in my sphere and my wife's sphere as possible. And then we post, some business, some kids, some family, some date night. And then I try to comment on people I know, if they post a picture of their kids, just say, hey, great photo, just that kind of stuff. And it works.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Great. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. No problem.
Good stuff. All right. Other questions for Mike? Raise your hands or just talk out, please. I got 3 pages here.
Oh, hi, Mike. I'm Donna Gola from Washington State, and I was just wondering if you have some system for reviewing your goals as you go through the year. Like, how often do you review your business plan or your goals so that you stay on track?
Yeah, that's big. I mean, with Neil, we have a numbers analyzer, and so every Monday I'll fill out that numbers analyzer. And then I have on my board, I have a whiteboard in my office with 3 metrics. Metric number 1 is contacts. Metric number 2 is listings taken. And metric number 3 is closings, where I should be and where I'm at. But all of that really doesn't mean anything unless you really have a goal as to what you want to do with the money. It gets a little boring. It gets a little, I don't know the right word other than it's not in front of you if you don't have a goal with what you want to do with that money. So that's been a key for us. Is my wife and I will, because our goal is to renovate this home. We go and take a look at other models in the neighborhood that have been remodeled and see what we want to do and keep that alive and well. So
That's great. Good.
Yeah.
Good question, Donna. Go ahead.
Yeah, the other thing I think that I've been able to do is take risks, put money out there for homes and try to catch up to it a little bit. That's worked well for me as well.
What do you mean by that? You're talking about the buying what you're doing now?
Yeah, buying of investment properties or whatever it is. Just you say, okay, I'm gonna do it, and let the work catch up.
Congratulations. That is so cool. Love it. All right. Other questions for Mike?
Mike?
Go ahead,
Hi.
Nancy.
This is Nancy. I'm not sure if you mentioned, but do you have a buyer's agent or an assistant?
I have an assistant. I don't yet have a buyer's agent. I was thinking about getting one, but I'm like 75% listings, so I don't really have a ton of buyers. But if that ever does happen, I probably should get one, but I don't have one right now. But the assistant, yes, I do have, and she's amazing.
Great, great. Do you have like, because you have so many listings, do you find that you have buyer calls on
Yes.
your listings and buyer leads from that you work?
Yeah, I don't.
You
I
don't
do have buyer calls. And I will work those myself. I will work those myself. If you know, yeah, I will.
Great.
You do 4 or 5 buyer deals a year anyway, right, Mike?
Yeah. I'll
Yeah.
do 7 or 8. I'll do 6 or 7. Yeah. It's like,
Okay.
yeah.
Right. Got it. Good
Not as
question. Good question. But it also, this is where I think you're at, Mike, is that you like doing other things with the family or for yourself,
Mhm.
and working the buyers takes extra time, and managing people takes extra time. So
Yes.
you happen to want to play with the kids and go surfing,
Yeah, I really don't like working on the weekends. I really,
right?
it especially if it's not a buyer I know and like. I'm just not good at, showing property Saturday afternoons. It's just not my style. So if it's a good friend, I will do it all day. But if it's just somebody I kind of know, I don't know. I don't do a good job.
Got it. Okay, good. Great question, Nancy. Thank you. All
Can
right.
I ask another follow-up question on that?
Of course.
Okay, so I guess, are you ever concerned that when you just work sellers, you sell their house, then they go bye-bye because they don't become really a past client database person because
Yeah,
they move?
I mean, it's tough because most of my sellers have gone out of state or out of area. I mean, and so, yeah, it's an issue. But so I feel like you have to hit them in the first, 6 months for referrals, and you'll get those referrals then. I think you have to hit it hard in those communities that you did a good job for, which is knocking on the doors, giving them the success story, talking with the neighbors, talking with your sellers, and you'll get the deals there. But as time goes by, it gets harder and harder to get those referrals. So you got to hit it early if they're moving out of state.
So I have a follow-up question on that, Mike. Do you adopt the buyers on the properties you sell?
I need to do a better job of it. I have, but not every buyer, and I need to do a better job of it.
Okay. That
Yeah.
might help. That might help in what you're doing right now.
No, it's on my list of things to do this year. Yeah.
Okay. Excellent.
Yeah, I need to.
Our proverbial lists, right?
Yes, exactly.
Good job. All right. Other questions? Good job, Nancy. Thank you. Other questions for Mike Doyle?
Yeah, Mike. Hi, Tyrone here. 2 questions for you. One, I'm not sure if you mentioned it earlier, but on your absentee owners, did you say you email them weekly, call quarterly, and mail monthly?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. And on your investment properties, are you managing them, or do you have a management company?
I am managing them because it's pretty easy, but I would hire a management company if I had more, or if they were kind of, a hassle. But right now, I manage them.
Okay. Unless I missed it, do you mind if I ask how many of them do you carry?
2, just 2. I just have 2 investments right now.
I got you.
This is fairly new, but he's going fast now.
Yeah, that's right.
Every time I
right.
talk to him, there's another one in the hopper someplace.
That's right.
Thank you.
Good
Appreciate
stuff.
your input.
Oh yeah, no
That's
problem.
great. Good. Okay. Other questions for Mike?
It's good to be the landlord.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, good
Especially
stuff.
right now. My gosh.
So, Mike, what would you say your superpowers are?
I would say that my superpower is getting people to like me and trust me.
Tell me more about that.
I'm good at being on the phone with somebody and creating a relationship with them such that they'll tell me 3 months, 5 months later, don't worry, when we sell, we'll sell with you. People that I've never met in person.
Okay.
I'm very good on the phone, and I'm very good with, with presenting a trusting persona to them.
So is this something that you learned, you read in a book, where did that come from?
I think I was naturally that way, and then I tried to be, and I've consciously made an effort to be more that way, and to never be too pushy on the phone with people, but just make a concerted effort to help them whenever they need, and the deals come. I've got one that I'm in escrow with right now that they're an absentee owner in Santa Ana, and I talked to them like 3 years ago, and then I would talk to them like once a year, and they would say, no. And then just out of the blue, they called me and said, we're ready, let's sell. And I'm double lending it, so.
Wow.
And it just happens. And you don't have to compete with that because you've built and it only takes 10 minutes a year, 5 minutes a year.
Right.
Not a lot of time if
No.
you automate it.
Got it. Perfect. All right. Good stuff. Excellent. So let me ask you, let's maybe we can wrap it here with this is what would you, knowing the market today, what advice would you give of maybe activities for somebody that's, they're doing 10, 12, 15 deals. They're making some money, but they're a little frustrated. What would you recommend right now? What are the 2 or 3 things that they could do in the first quarter that might help them accelerate this?
Yeah, I would do 2 things. I would say, if you're not doing it, get onto Facebook and Instagram, but limit it to 30 minutes a day. Do not be on there all day long. Be on there at a short time block with a purpose to do 1 or 2 posts, comment on some people's posts, and then get off. Don't be there all day. But get on there and, again, mix up your content in, some real estate, some personal, helpful stuff, whatever, just to make sure you're the expert. Because you think about this, people who you kind of know and kind of know you, they don't know how good you are in real estate. So if you start posting good stuff, they'll think you're really good. That's number 1. Number 2, I have found is getting out there with any success that you've had, knocking on doors, and start building that database of people, and never let go of them. Knocking on doors, getting phone numbers and email addresses, telling them a great success story that you had or somebody had in the neighborhood, and just building that database all year long.
Good stuff. All right. Okay. Unmute yourselves, everyone. Please unmute yourselves. Let's give Mike a big hand. Woo-hoo! All right, Mike, great job. Thank you.
Thank you, Neil. I appreciate it.
Thank
Thank
you.
you very much.
We appreciate
Thanks,
you.
Mike.
And
That's an
some
epic
great
year.
ideas. Yeah, really, really fantastic. You bet. What we're going to do now, Mike, is, we're going to kind of hang here for a few minutes. If you've got a hard stop, we certainly understand it. But if you just want to kind of hang around and listen to what we've learned for the next few minutes, we're going to do that. So again, thanks, Mike. That was great. Really good. Okay, good stuff. All right. So as we do, what did we learn today? What were some of the things that we picked up that we're going to be able to take away from this? Who wants to lead us off? Just raise a hand or reach out. Robert, go ahead.
Mr. Doyle, you're the man, buddy. Greatly appreciate, always enjoy the conversations that you and I have. A couple of things I wrote down here, Neil. Number 1 is that he emails weekly, and you push that. And because of you, I push that. And it's amazing how many agents push back on that going, oh God, email weekly. It's too much. And he does it, and it seems to work out okay for him. So I wrote that down, number 1. The second thing that really stood out to me was he said that in 2016, he got 4 deals off owner occupied deals. And he said a light bulb just went off that this was a good source. So he went after, he doubled down on it. And we run into this as coaches where it's, hey, try this out. They try it out, they have success, and then they don't do it again. It's, well, let me go back to the expireds. Oh, okay, no, or let me go back to the for sale by owners. Let me go back to this instead of something that works. And it was just a great reminder that if you have something that works, whether it be a source, a city, a price point, double down on it instead of going to what you're supposed to do, which is, expires, for sale by owners, whatever the case may be. I just thought that was such a great reminder and just a really smart business move.
Oh, one thing that I just added recently to all my database, which was cool. So at first I was emailing weekly. Now I'm emailing every other week. And then I bought a program called HomeBot, which is $29 a month. And the open rate on that has been huge. And I can see who opens it. And that's been big. My client, everybody's been liking that. So
Huge.
Yeah.
You're in front. You said something that if they might not be willing to sell today, but if they want to sell in a couple months, I'm the guy they're going to think of. And that only works if you're in front of them all the time.
yeah.
And you are in front of them either on social media, on email, on mailers, on phone calls all the time. It's huge.
Yep.
Huge.
Mike, did you ever count the number of touches on average per year
For a
for a lead, for a
so
client?
it would be 4 calls plus 52 emails plus 12 4 plus 52 plus 12 50.
So 64, 68
Yeah, that's without any social media stuff. Yeah,
and no social media, no social media counted.
right.
Fascinating. So
But
68.
he only made $600,000, Neil.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, I know. I was doing the math.
Yeah.
I'm
But
as
it's so
slow at math.
automated. It's
Oh,
all automated, and so you don't do it. It just goes.
That's fantastic. Really, really good stuff. Okay, excellent. All right, what else did we learn today? What else? Jason, you got something? I thought you were reaching to.
Well, no, I just want to say the slow collection of absentee owners sounds like it's a good bet to pay off over the long run. That's something I need to implement, like maybe 1 hour a week or something to start collecting a database of absentee owners.
It doesn't matter who it is, just collect the database of people.
Yeah.
Right.
Whether it's
Good.
absentee owners or knocking around or expire, just collect them because they'll do something.
Yeah.
Yeah. good
Excellent
stuff.
tip.
Good. All right. What else did we learn? Anyone else today?
I have more.
Go ahead.
The other thing I wrote down, Mike, we run into this a lot. And I understand where we interview these top producers and we just think that they started at $250,000. They started at 500,000. They started at whatever the number is. And your first year, you did 4 transactions. The second year you did 8. Now, 4 transactions is still really good for someone who's a first year agent, but it's a reminder to people that he didn't do 29 transactions his first year. He didn't do 20 his first year. He did 4, but then he did 8, and then he did 12. It's a process, as Neil would say. It's baby steps daily, not giant steps occasionally. It's all about the consistency and moving forward. And I think it's a reminder to all of us that you're not going to get it overnight in this business. You won't get it over the first year. You won't get it over the second year even. But if you do what you're supposed to do every day, like Mike does, I mean, that was 2007, right, Mike?
Mm-hmm.
So 14 years later, 14 years is nothing to be where you're at today. That's crazy.
Right.
And yet most people won't.
Right.
Won't do it. But you're good. What else you got to do? I mean, look, in the beginning, I'm sure you wanted it faster, Mike. But it's not that you didn't make money along the way. You made 400, you made 200, then you made 300, then you made 500, 400, then 500, now 600. You know, it's not, I mean, you can eat on that, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, that's right. Right.
Exactly. So really, really good stuff. Excellent. That's kind of what I wanted to say I learned out of this, or was reminded out of this, is your consistency and the fact that you're doing this business. You've built a wonderful business where you have your family involved, and you can do things with your family on a regular basis. You can do things that you like to do on a regular basis, and you can earn a very, very nice living. And now you're adding investments to this. So, you know, in 10 years, you're going to have, let's just say, if you continue doing what you're doing, 15, 16 properties that'll start paying off. Let's see, you're what, 40 right now?
Yeah, 41.
41. So 15 years, you're my example. 15 years from now, you'll be 55, 56 years old,
Yep.
and your first house will be paying off the one that you used to live in.
Yeah.
That's been this rental. And even assuming zero appreciation, you now have a free and clear asset. Congratulations.
Yep.
And then you just go on for another 15 years. And we just did this. Yes, I think it was yesterday. Or the day before, where I was talking about, you know, how to get rich in real estate, and you're living that path. So congratulations.
Thank you.
Very, very cool. Excellent. All right. Unmute yourselves, everyone, please. Unmute yourselves. All right. Let's give him a big hand. Woohoo! Good job. Excellent. All right, Michael.
Thank you,
Mike,
Neil.
again, thank you very, very much. We'll have this up in a day or two. I'll let you know, so you can, friends and family.
Sounds good. Thanks.
Good work.
Thank
Take
you.
care. Thank
All right,
you.
bye.
Take care. All right. Good.